Well. It is episode 9 of Straight to It. Today I'm here with my brother Jason. We are two-thirds of the trifecting team. Um, Mike is off on assignment. What that assignment is, I have no idea, but he's out there somewhere. But today's episode, we have special guests. As you see in the modules, we have two young ladies here to share their stories and their past. They are in the media sector of the world, one in entertainment, the other in the musical industry. So they're going to educate us some of the hurdles, some of the trials and tribulations, and some of the success stories. And maybe they'll be open to telling us something that lies behind the forbidden door when it comes to entertainment. So without me taking all the air out of the room, you know me, Clem Boogie, and that's Jason. So here we are with two young ladies, Francesca Alexis and Cassandra Mills. They are a power team. And like I said, I won't say much more, but we are going to ask them to give a little bit of background, some summary, some tidbits of their upbringing until now. Uh, Ladies, it's on you.
Francesca, go first.
Well, just to give you some insight, obviously I'm not from here. I'm Australian, so I grew up in a Greek family in Australia. My parents migrated there. My background actually was never entertainment or um, film. It was actually I studied law and I majored in security, terrorism, and counterterrorism. So completely different to what I'm doing right now.
Oh, nice.
But that definitely has kept me woke for a lot of other things that I encountered in this business. So that's been good. But I came out here. I don't know if I ever shared that with you, Clem. God gave me a vision, like almost 10 years ago, and a promise of provision. And I packed my bags, left, a very elite country to come out here
Right.
and do what it is that I do. And that was to create a platform for the Black and Brown community to provide, opportunities for them, especially in the film industry. Because what I had going back then was I created a franchise, a sporting franchise, and it was too big to do in Australia. So I was told to come out here and do it.
Right.
And so along that journey, that's when I met Cassandra. And everything kind of changed, from that point on. So, but yeah, everything that we kind of do is to provide, opportunities for the Black and Brown community, from hiring people in the industry to, educating them about owning their own rights as well. Like, you don't need to sell to a TV network or a, digital platform like kids. And so we educate them on how to do that and not sell themselves short as well. But yeah, that's a soft spot for me.
Awesome. Cassandra?
My career in entertainment began in music, as you said earlier, by no intent of my own. I kind of started in this business as a virtual assistant, and that led to me becoming an artist manager. And early on in my career, at the very beginning of my career, I was working with and managing artists like Stephanie Mills and Christopher Williams and Stacey Dash, and that was kind of the entree. A lot of some of the members of Guy and that kind of thing, and that was the beginning of my career, and that led to me later becoming a music executive, and then the president of a Warner music company called Giant. I made the soundtrack New Jack City,
Nice.
which became a classic. And, I signed artists like Jade and, Don't Walk Away and Hammer and Don't Hurt 'Em and Ahmad back in the day when I was young. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I made a lot of, records that, people still remember. And that led to me moving from there into more media, wanting to grow and expand. When I left the music world, I then started working to pursue things in film and television. And that's the path of my life where Francesca and I linked up and met. I set up a project which is in development now with Universal Pictures. a film that we're working on, and Fran and I have several other properties that we are in the process of setting up, developing in various stages. Our company recently filmed an event called Stomp Wars,
Mhm.
which is a step competition, the largest step competition in the nation. We filmed last year's competition, and we are in the final stages of production of that, looking to set that up with the network going out so that we can move that from just, move that into, make that an annual kind of thing, much like how you see the cheerleading competition every
Mhm.
year, and you can see the step competition every year. And from there we have other things, but our mantra, as Fran already said, we want to do things that complement and speak to the Black and Brown community, but also things that are what we call feel good entertainment,
Right.
entertainment that does good and feels good. So we try to look for things that don't just exploit an opportunity to be good, but actually make a statement and affect people's lives in a great way for change. And that's really very important to us, and entertain. And I don't know, I think for me, that's important. And Fran, it's important for Fran as well, but I want to speak on why that kind of thing is important for me. It's important for me because I feel like entertainment is such a powerful tool.
Right.
We program the next generation with what we give them to eat in entertainment. And if we don't put substance in it, then we're not going to get substance out.
True.
If we don't let kids see things that are positive, then we don't help them. And we don't help them any more than for years, especially in a Black neighborhood, for generations, it was like everybody emulated the drug dealer because he was the most successful thing they could be.
Right.
And being a music executive for so many years has really taught me the power of entertainment, and that you have to give people things that you want to see repeated in the next generation. And so with that in mind, when Francesca and I came together to create our company, Power Play Media, we really started focusing on, what's our statement and what do we want to accomplish here?
Awesome.
And that became the mantra for us of just doing things and creating things that leave marks and can impact generations.
Awesome. Well, I mean, that's great information and tidbits to know about you guys. And obviously, you guys have a huge backing, or at least a core backing of you people who would like you guys to succeed and push you to the next levels. Jay, do you have anything to add?
Oh, I have a question that so I have 4 kids. I have a 17-year-old, and she had did an internship at Estee Lauder. And so when I talk to her about what tomorrow's possibilities are, a lot of what you guys were, the things you just said about your journey, I see her face, right? And I know that there is countless others in her position, and you guys were there in her position, that is probably afraid. And at any moment, did you guys ever have even, I guess it's a 2-part question. Did you ever doubt the journey? And if you did, what made you push past that doubt? Because I know too many that have succumbed to the doubt.
Fran, you go first.
I think for me, there were many times I wanted to quit, and I found excuses to leave. The journey, the path, even the country. But when God gives you a vision and a promise of provision, you have His promises, right? And so that keeps me going, because I know that through every adversity that I've encountered, I know that there's greatness on the other side. So obviously the enemy is going to throw things, and he uses to get you off course. But when you're kind of spiritually woke too, and you understand, you have a purpose, you've got to fight for that purpose till the end.
And exactly. And for me, interesting, Jason, that you brought up, your daughter interning at Estee Lauder. I have a history in cosmetics as well, but I didn't want to bring that to this table. But since you opened the door, I'm going to speak on that because that's a hard world to be in too. And
Yeah.
especially with having created and launched my own line. So that's a whole nother story. But what I will say to answer your question about how do you endure when you encounter trials and tribulations, anything great is going to come with a weight.
Yeah.
You got to decide. The weight's either going to crush you or you're going to crush it. But
I like
one
that.
or the other has got to win.
Right.
So I've made a decision in my head, and I had to do this a long time ago. Like when I was a music executive, I had to learn that I'm not going to let the weight crush me. I'm going to crush the weight.
Right.
And the tool that I use to crush the weight, as Francesca said, is my faith. So at moments when I'm weak and when I feel like, oh, this is too much, I can't lift this weight, those are the times where I bring out, my arsenal. My arsenal is, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. No weapon formed against me can prosper. If God is for me, who can be against me? What can be against me?
Right, yes.
I just start repeating all of those kinds of scriptures and affirmations in my head, and they give me the strength to at least say, okay. What do I have to do right now to just deal with this? And sometimes to deal with it is like, all right, I'm just going to set it aside for a minute and I'm going to leave that alone and I'm going to go get my head straight, or I'm going to go, usually when I'm feeling like I'm about to be defeated, I need to take my mind off of whatever the problem is.
Right.
Because I'm too, I want to say too, full of the problem to even see the solution. And to really get, discernment, you got to be still so that you can hear from God.
Yeah.
You have to be calm. You have to be, it talks about learning to be patient and what are the fruits of the spirit and, all of that. So you got to learn to just, be still and know that God is God. He got you. And if he's got you, then that means there's an answer to this. You don't see it because you focused on the problem.
Right.
And Fran and I were just saying this the other day. We were just kind of walking off the idea that, the key, and I think the thing that I'm learning, I really last year and moving into this year and carrying into this year that I feel like I'm really learning now is the key is don't take your eyes off of him.
Right.
Keep your eyes on him. Because, and I was telling Fran when I was reading the scripture, Peter walking on the water, he says to God, to Jesus, Lord, tell me to come to you, so I can walk on the water too. And he says, come. So Peter gets out the boat and he's walking. But then a wind comes and Peter gets caught up with the wind and he starts to sink, and Lord, don't you care that I'm sinking? And Fran and I were having this conversation. We were laughing. I said, so the moral to the story is don't look at the storm. Keep your eyes on him.
No.
And I was like, that right there, the fact that I just learned that nugget, like I've known that story, but I just learned that nugget. I'm like, I got something this year. When the weight gets heavy, it ain't gonna be that's all the weight you got.
Oh, I love that right there. I love that right there.
That's not gonna be enough to take me out.
Bring it.
Keep my eye on the right thing.
Right.
And I realized the storm can only take you out. The trials, the tribulations, the problems, the issues, the things that make you want to quit can only do that if you surrender to them.
Right.
If you don't surrender, even if you don't get the answer to the problem at that moment, you're going to win because guess what? You don't get to take me out.
Right.
So
So I guess with for me, I think more of like the intricate side of what both you guys do and being partners and being in, executive spots that you guys are. What are some hardships that you guys may face on certain business um, levels and also in personal levels? Because at the end of the day, you guys are humans, and also the elephant, like I said at the beginning, you elephant in the room, you guys are females in a very male dominated sector, media, where, you're walking into it blindly, but at the same time, you're trying to leave your imprint.
Absolutely.
I think for me is, in this industry, you as women, and well, for me as a foreign woman too, I think it's harder for me because, one, they think I'm dumb because I'm from another country, right? But we get sexualized a lot, and even, like people like Jason's daughter's age, up until, it doesn't matter how old you are, you get sexualized in this industry all day, every day.
Right.
And it's how you kind of manage that too. And integrity for us is really important. Like, we will not go for a business meeting at a hotel. And actually, I'll tell you a little story. So there was this one time, Cassandra, you know what I'm talking about. We were meant to, someone really well known in the industry, we were going to do a deal with them. And he was like, all right, meet us at the hotel. The meeting went from meet us there at 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and it moved to like 10 o'clock. And I said to Cassandra, call him back and tell him that nothing good happens at 10 o'clock at night at a hotel foyer.
Right.
So no, we're not going. And if they want to meet with us and close a deal, then, it'll have to be in a boardroom or a lunch thing. So that never happened. 2 years later, I meet this person and he was like, your name sounds familiar. Your voice sounds familiar. I said, I'm that woman that said no to meeting you at 11 o'clock at night at a hotel. And look, we've been really good friends ever since, right? But it's an integrity thing as well. Like, you got to be really careful how you move in this industry, and leaving your mark. And, our mark is our integrity.
Good. Cassandra?
I think Fran certainly taps upon one of the key issues, because as women, as I always say, it's the pretty girl pass. We get the pretty girl pass that gets us in the room. It's what we do after that determines what can happen. And it's imperative that we allow people to see us as we walk a fine line of wanting to be really nice and cordial and sweet, which men equate to women. But at the same time, don't sleep that we're both, badass business women, that even though we can be nice and sweet and delicate and what I call pink, we can be black if we need to. But we don't want to be black, And when I say that, I don't mean black like black people. I mean the opposite of pink. Right. Like, if you make us be hard, we know how to be hard, but we don't want to come that way, because we are not women who want to come off as hard or mean or harsh or, confrontational. There's all of those. Those are the adjectives that people use to describe women in business anyway. Right. And usually those are not earned titles that they give us, because anytime a woman doesn't go along with the decision that the men make, it's a bitch, she's a mean, she's difficult, she's hard to work with. Those are the kind of descriptions that are laid upon us, just because you know where you're going and what you will do and what you won't do. Right. And so it's a very delicate balancing situation that you're constantly being faced with. And, we constantly talk about how we're going to approach people so that we make them feel comfortable, but also feel like, don't come at us like, as Fran said, don't come at us like the wrong way either. Right. Or think, let's keep moving the meeting tonight so we can take it into another direction. No, we're not doing none of that, So I think that's probably one of the biggest things. And then I think the second biggest thing, and correct me, Fran, or jump in if you think I'm saying something different. I think the second biggest thing is funding. Finding people to back your projects because you truly and genuinely know what you're doing, and you can execute and make money for them and for yourself.
Right.
That's the other thing. And I don't think that that's something that we deal with simply because we're women. I think people of color in general have that. That's an issue for people of color. I mean, and if we want to get specific in terms of data, only 20% of the investment dollars that are out there go to female businesses in general. And of that 20%, only 2% go to women of color, Black women, Black and brown women.
Right.
So that lets you know, too, that it's a difficult world that we have to navigate in, because we have to find ways to convince people who generally feel like, investing in women can be, I don't know why they think it to be any riskier than investing in male businesses, but for whatever reason, most investment dollars, which are primarily controlled by men, they generally want to put them in businesses that are going to be run by men.
Right.
And so that's the other obstacle or elephant in the room that we have to figure out how to overcome.
Jason?
Yeah.
I have another question. That right before I even go into the question, the hotel thing just blew my mind. I've never really been in that world, so like this was like, holy crap, this is like the stuff you see, in a movie or something. Like, so as a very protective dad, you gave me some ammo right now, because this is what I was hoping to get, so that way I can definitely pass this on. My next question is, I know this personally, and I know many others do too. When you're in one field, and before you get that message where you're supposed to be somewhere else, have you ever dreamt or thought that you would be where you're at, or did you think that in the previous field that's where you excel the furthest?
For me, it was, I ended up moving from the management side of the business to the record executive side of the business because my mother was wise enough to tell me to make a shift when a guy by the name of Irving Azoff pursued me to come work for him. And just to put a little perspective, Irving Azoff used to be the chairman and CEO of Universal, but when it was MCA Records, when it had all the New Edition and Patti LaBelle and Guy and just hit after hit after hit, when MCA Records was considered the modern day Motown.
Right.
That's when Irving ran it. And then he went on to become the CEO of Ticketmaster, and then the CEO of Live Nation. And now him and his son have a big management company called Full Stop, which represents everybody from Chelsea Handler to Harry Styles, and they work with people on the side like the Kardashians and blah, blah, blah. So that's the history of the man who brought me into the executive side and became my mentor, and I became his protege. So having said that, I didn't have the sense to pivot, Jason, when he first asked me. It took my mother recognizing, because the first time he asked me to come work for him, I was like, work for you? I'm gonna be you. I don't want to work for you. Look at me, young and 20. You don't know nothing at 20. I always tell people, how old are you when you don't know anything yet? I know you're gonna hate hearing me say that, but you think you know.
Right.
And I didn't, the first couple of times he came to ask me to work for him, I said no. And it was just before my third meeting, because now he had come and invited me to a dinner. The first two times we got together, I said no both times and never wavered. The third time I was going to meet with him, just on my way to that meeting, my mom called me in the car and said to me, I was thinking about this meeting you're going to have with this, Azoff guy. He's a big guy, right? In the business, right? In the entertainment world. And I was like, yeah, so, And she was like, you know, I was thinking about this, and I was thinking you maybe need to think about this as 4 more years of college. Don't just look at him because, you know, don't just look at him as I don't need you to do what I'm doing. You know, he has information that you don't have yet through you just getting started, girl. You don't know what he knows, and you need to go learn from him. Maybe you need to think about it like that. And I was like, okay, Mama, I'll call you when it's over, but I'm here now. I gotta go. You know, and the funny thing is when he came in, when the meeting started, he ended up saying those exact words to me in the meeting. I've been thinking about our last meeting, and you said, if you're gonna be me, you need to come learn from me. And that was what my mother had said. So that just became this, it was like my spirit heard that, and I immediately said, okay, I'll do it on one condition. And he goes, what's the condition? And I said that I work for you and I work directly for you. I report to you and you only, because I'm coming to learn, and you have to teach me everything. You got to let me see the business. He stuck his hand out and we shook hands. That's how I became a executive in the Warner system. And then that job led me to becoming president of that label. I didn't become president immediately. I wasn't brought in as a president, but I grew to, I achieved that position over time. So I said all that to just say that sometimes we don't know our calling, you know. And then when I made the transition into the cosmetics world, what made me do that was God spoke to my heart and gave me a vision to do something in cosmetics, which I was like, but I don't know nothing about this, Lord. Why cosmetics? Are you sure? But the minute I became complicit with trying to do it, he started to send all the people that I needed, all the things that I was saying, but God, I don't have contacts. That's not where my base is. I don't know anybody. And the one person that I thought I knew, who I felt I could hire to come help me navigate what I was getting ready to do, I realized I had lost contact with this one woman. And the minute I accepted it, and I was like, okay, Lord, I tried to reach her. I don't know how to reach her. So I don't even have any contacts in that world. A week later, he placed me at Barney's department store in Beverly Hills. And who comes and taps me on the shoulder but her? That same woman who I couldn't find and all that. And so that led to me starting that, cause I had already started the cosmetics brand. I just didn't know how to go about it. And the moment I ran into her, I knew that was God intervening. You know, so hey, those are my two stories about how do you know what you're supposed to do. And I feel like and when I thought I was supposed to leave the beauty world, it was my pastor who told me let me pray about it. And he later came back to me and said, I don't see why you're supposed to leave. I'm getting that you're supposed to be in both of these spaces. So, you know, there you have it.
Francesca?
Just to piggyback off what Cassandra said, I think, you know, previous roles or previous industries that we've been in, you definitely bring those skills and that knowledge, and most importantly, the wisdom, you know, into your next path. And what I've learned is, I think for me, again, it's all about integrity too, you know, and how to move and navigate through this business. Because I've always worked in a male dominant business too, you know, like law enforcement in Australia is basically all men. Very rarely, you know, are you going to meet many women that, you know, specialize in something like what I did. So you're already, you know, guarded and really hard. And that definitely has been a benefit to me in this industry, because, you know, like we've closed deals and we've said no to many deals because not all money is good money.
Right.
And I don't, if it's not from God, I don't want it, because I know that he can quickly.
Uh-oh. Connection. Uh-oh. Are you there? Is everybody there?
Yeah, we're here. What happened?
No, I don't know.
For a minute.
Yeah, it just froze. I
The
don't
devil
know.
is a lie.
Yes, he is. See, that's what happens when you start speaking truth.
Yeah.
Keep the power, baby. You hear that, Satan?
That's right. That's right.
Tell him, see, tell him. So yeah, I think I don't know where I left off and how much we heard, but
A woman in coming from your field is where you were.
Yeah.
yeah, like just coming from where I came from, you know, it prepared me, like, because you know I'm really, you know, I'm sensitive, so it hardened me, like in a to a point where not, you know, 100%, but just in this business, you got to know when to say no, and you got to know when to know that it's okay to say no. And you know, people panic. They're like, you know, you're crazy. You said no to, you know, $20 million, and I'm like, yeah, because I had an incident with I can't say who it is, but
No, that's
very
fine.
large network, and they wanted to give me what you call an F off check.
Mm-hmm.
F off,
Oh.
you know,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of money
Mm-hmm.
because the show was too urban.
Mm.
So what they would have done is shelf that,
Right.
giving me $20 million, and I'm, you know, I've gone away. That actually motivated me even more. The fact that they said it was too urban, that's when I knew I was onto something, but onto something great. So, like I said, not all money is good money.
No, that's fair. I guess for me, especially in the industry that you guys are in and dealing with the people that you deal with maybe on a day-to-day basis, I would I would think you guys would have to like kind of adapt and kind of be almost a different kind of person to it predicated upon who you're meeting, whether it's another network executive or music exec or whatever the case may be. So how like is that like so much of a struggle because you know knowing already you're behind the eight ball, so to speak, and going into this big time meeting where it could be a seal and deal type situation, but you know the person could be a jerk, could be a pompous, one of those kind of clowns, and you have to keep a certain level of professionalism. How hard is it for you to kind of like keep that level, like just level playing field, obviously for that set amount of time?
I don't find that to be the most difficult part of it, and I also think that it's part of what I said earlier, Clem, being a balancing act.
Hmm.
And I think we kind of, Francesca and I both have kind of become these very adept ballet girls when it comes to how we approach um, the industry and how we approach people, because we have a shared set of values. Integrity matters. What are they asking for? Who are we talking about doing this with? What is the content or the subject matter? We kind of go through this whole checklist of things, and any number of which could make either Fran say to me or me say to her, no, let's pass. And what I love about our relationship and what I love about Francesca is that we make I always say our yin and yang. I'm always telling her our yin and yang because and the interesting thing about yin and yang, and I don't know why I adopted that as the description of how we are as business people, but the logo for yin and yang is a circle, and then it makes this little thing, and it's half white and half black,
Hmm.
and which is our whole scenario,
Right.
And I'd never thought about that, but I see it as yin and yang in the sense of on a day where I might be very short with people and, I'm just frustrated because of whatever, and I don't recognize it. And Fran will, step in and be like, yo, calm yourself. And you need to just chill, like, be nice, And on some days when she's, at her wits end and all that, I'll be like, yo, don't be me. So we feed off of each other, but then we
Right.
also, I may get ready to make a deal, and then she'll hear, and then we'll get into it. And we've had deals that no, let's send that money back. We don't want to do that. Like on one project that we were going to do, and then where Fran looked and said, that's just not even for us. Give them back the money. And they were blown away that we were like, even though we had got the money, deal done, changed our mind, guys, before we spend a dime or whatever. Here's your money back. We're out. And then later, where something that she may have brought to the table, and I'm like, I just don't feel good about the content. Think about what we're getting ready to get behind. Why would we get behind that? Think about the messaging. So it's just it's a balancing act, and I think what's great is we complement each other in that process. There's some days where we both show up to the job, and we got all our utensils, all our knives are sharpened, and we're both, on point, popping. And there's some days where she's sharper than I am, or I'm sharper than she is, and so it just makes it great because it's true. Two heads are better than one.
Awesome, Fran.
And I think without having egos as well, we're very humble women, but Cassandra can get us in rooms that I can't, but I can get us in rooms that she can't. And so after many years, I've learned how to use the white privilege, and it doesn't matter who closes the deal. We run our own business. It's ours. Whatever money comes into us. And at the end of the day, the bigger thing is the vision, the fact that we're paving the way for other people's kids, the next generation. Who cares who closes the deal because of who or what my color is? Let's just close the deal. At the end of the day, we won.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, we've never, and what's great is we've never had to have that conversation. Like that's from day one, we've always gone straight to the prize. It was never about who got us to the prize the fastest, who had it was always about, this, oh, I know that, this person, I know that person. Can we, let's double team. You go in this door, I'll come around this way. We've always been able to just, like I said, that's why I call it yin and yang, because it's been this we make a complete circle, and a circle that's completed can't be broken, and I think that's very powerful in itself.
Thanks.
So with that being said, obviously that is, the more positive end. Let's more so how do you guys adjust to conflict amongst yourselves? Because I know as business partners and friends, things can get a little feisty. So, if you're open to talking about it, great. But we all know
Absolutely.
both are human. So let us inside.
We've learned how to what I call fair fight. We might, if I'm too hot, she'll be like, I don't talk to me. And if she's too hot, I'm the same way. I can't deal with the mean you right now. And we've learned to respect that. Like from the moment one of us claims that, it's like for a moment that ends it. We don't try to have the fight. We don't force the other person to let's fight about this right now. We give it time for temperatures to lower and people to get calm, so then we can listen and talk. But it took us a minute to get to that space. At first our fighting was, we would fight if it was something that she didn't feel good about, and we started to have a fight about it, we had to fight about it right then. And vice versa. If it was something that I felt wasn't right, I want to fight about it right now. And we've learned to leave some space, calm down, and not to ignore the issue or not to ignore the opposing positions, but how to come and communicate and talk about it openly and honestly, so that the other person can understand why you feel that way. And in the process, in many cases, she's won me over to seeing what she saw, or I've won her over to seeing what I saw, but never because we tried to force it at the moment when the temperatures were high.
Awesome.
And the temperatures have been hot.
Yes, we had our moments, no question.
But you know what I love about us though? Our fighting style. And it's like any relationship, right? Even if you're in a marriage or another relationship, business relationship, whatever it is, once you learn what their fighting style is, you can navigate through that.
Yeah.
No,
So
absolutely.
we've learned. It's taken us a minute, but you know,
Yeah, and I think there's a level of true respect because I
right.
think at the end of the day, I honestly know that um, Fran wants what's great, what's best for the business,
Mhm.
even if it is not necessarily something I agree with. I have to step away and ask myself, how is this best for the business? How is her position best for the business? And if I look at it from that perspective, then it can change things. And I think that she does the same thing with my thing. She may not agree when I say something about, I don't think we should do this deal this way, or, I want to point out something that, she's like, I already know that, and if we know, and I do that to her too, but
Right.
we've learned how to not do the I already know that. Instead, we let the person go there and then be okay later when everything is calm. This is what my thoughts are about it. And
Awesome.
I think it just makes it, doable. So fights are not an issue. And we've been in business now a little over, we've been partners a little over, 3 years now? Over. We started working together before we officially formed the partnership.
4
But
years.
we formed our partnership 3 years ago, but we got in business together basically 4 years ago.
Nice. Awesome. Jay?
Yeah. If you hear any noise in the background, I apologize. That's my 4-year-old.
It's okay.
Don't
I was
apologize.
trying to mute the whole time because
It's
it happened.
okay.
I apologize.
We
It's okay.
get
It's
it.
okay.
Yeah, he's having a moment. So
You sound like you're partying to me.
oh man, no,
Right.
it's the complete opposite of the party. I'll tell you that. He's very unhappy about some gaming situation in his tablet, but he'll be okay. So my other question is, we understand obstacles, of course, we can't avoid them. That's part of life, and in most instances, it does make us stronger. But is there anything from your journey that you look back in hindsight and say, you know what, even if I avoided that, I still would have ended up here? Is there anything that you think you could have done different and it would have still landed you here?
I don't know that I can say that. I think that my steps have been completely ordered. And to me, uh, I thought I was going to have this career in modeling. I never really mentioned that earlier, but that's the field that was the road that I had began my journey down when I got snatched into the music world.
Mhm.
You see what I'm saying? So I didn't expect to be here. And that's why I'm saying but I didn't do things to put myself here either. And that's why I'm saying I don't know that I can say that it would have been different. When I went to college with the mindset that I was going to go into politics. I thought I was going to be, you know, my original first aspiration that I articulated to my parents when I was a child was that I was going to be the first female attorney general of the United States. Now, when I asked my parents, where did I get that from? They are like, honey, we have no idea. The stuff that used to come out of your mouth. I'm like, how did I know? Like when I break that apart, I ask myself, how did I know? Because I used to say I'm going to be the first female attorney general. I wasn't thinking black female.
Right.
I was just thinking first female attorney general of the United States. And my question to my parents was, how did I know that there was never a female attorney general of the United States? They couldn't answer that. How did I know what the attorney general was? They couldn't answer that. How did I know what she did? They couldn't answer that. And when I look back, but I'm very clear because for years, that was the first thing I said I was going to do when I was 8, 9, that kind of thing. And then I said I was going to be a flight attendant. I said I'm going to be a first female attorney general of the United States, and I'm going to be a flight attendant. And I wanted to be a flight attendant because my parents split up when I was 12 years old, and my father moved up to the Bay Area. So I would fly up in the summer to spend time with him. And so the flight attendants were always so nice to me, and I looked forward to being on the airplane. So I thought, oh, this would be a nice thing to do. So those were my two aspirations as a child. You know, I spent a year and a half out of college in a gap year as a flight attendant because I realized as I was walking into my senior year from San Jose State that I was preparing to go into political life, but it wasn't until I got into college that I found out that politics was corrupt. And I was like, what am I going to do? And I was like, oh my God. And I had gotten recruited to, you know, would I be interested in being an FBI? Someone approached me in my criminal justice class to say that they would like to, you know, would I be interested in you know, joining the program to, you know, I was like, FBI? No, you know, and the whole thing. So all of it just kind of really scared me because I didn't know what I wanted to do at that point. So I decided, let me go try to be a flight attendant, figure it out, because I'm either going to have to go into law school now and stick on this course, or, and I just really didn't know what to do. Like I really had always thought I was going to be in politics. So it just goes to show you, you know.
I think
what
we're
would have happened.
we're where we are because that's where we're meant to be. You know, like when I think of, you know, I thought I was going to be like this, you know, crazy Australian profiler, you know, in Australia, you know, and now I'm looking at, you know, there's a lot of things that I learned from there that I utilize now. I just think we are where we're meant to be.
Right.
Yeah.
So with how everything is situated in you guys' career and respective careers and paths, and obviously you guys have collaborated enough on different landscapes and different business ideas, where do you see yourselves leaving? What is your imprint, and what do you see as a success story for you guys within, you know, next couple of years?
I think for us, you know, Cassandra, you can piggyback off this. You know, we're really strong on the platform that we've created, you know, for the Black and Brown community. That's our focus right now, and I think that's the path that, you know, we both want as well. But just, you know, to have that platform that, you know, people can utilize to being that voice, telling those inspiring and powerful stories that a lot of people, you know, don't want to tell. Like you see a lot of this, you know, we've said no to a lot of projects. You know, reality is, excuse my French, a lot of tits and ass and pulling hair. Yeah. No, I don't even watch that sort of stuff. You know, I want to be able to create a platform for people where they say, you know, because of that show, it changed my life, or because of that show, it gave me inspiration to, you know, move into another area. So, you know, for me, that's my goal every day when I wake up every morning.
Awesome.
Just to piggyback up of what Francesca said, I think that Clem, you said, you know, where do we see ourselves down the road? Like, what do we see ourselves accomplishing? I think of, I always, Francesca and I both, we always talk about ourselves as a company, much like Hello Sunshine, the company that was created by Reese Witherspoon, which they started it to create entertainment that empowered women. That was their platform. And, you know, they ended up selling their company for $1 billion to Blackstreet, you know, fund investors, and they still get to run their company, but they've now built a legacy. They have something to hand down to their family. You know, they built, you know, generational wealth, and you know, they have opened up a lane and created a space in Hollywood that says, you know, women producers and filmmakers and storytellers are important, and that we are capable of creating content that the world wants to see. And very much like that, Francesca and I, to me, what we're building is our version of that. What they've done for, without claiming it as for the white space. You know, that is where it is in that space. But what's great is they've produced things that aren't just white. And I love that about them. But our version is to create properties that empower Black and Brown people and that feed the people with content that leaves them, that changes their lives. Like Fran said earlier, you know, that says, hey, I did this because I saw your show. I did this because I was inspired by something that you guys put out. That's our goal, to build a show that build a corporation that's transformative in how we affect Black and Brown creatives. So we have a true collective that opens doors for tons of Black and Brown creatives to come through, whether it's in filmmaking, in television, in music, in social media, all of it. We want to, we see ourselves playing ultimately in all of those spaces, but also coming through with properties that affect people, that entertain and make them feel good, and in the process, our goal is to build a corporation that's so big that others come after us to buy it, to partner with us, to bring us under their umbrella as a subsidiary. So that kind of encompasses the overall game plan.
Awesome. So at this stature, one of my big questions obviously would be, what would you tell your younger self, or what would you tell a young up and coming freshman, high school senior, female, obviously trying to walk your shoes, walk your steps, and when they hear your story, what tidbit would you like really dig your heels in and explain to them so they get the gist of it? Because a lot of people get the glitz and glamour, the nice dresses, this, that, the cars, the notoriety and things of that, but they don't know the grind. So you guys have lived it and continue to grind it out, and ultimately are going to be that success story. So what would be your message that you would give to those people?
Girl, don't do it. No, I'm kidding.
That's crazy. We spend a lot of time laughing, guys. I don't think we've said that to you. We crack each other up so much every day. It's so funny.
We do. I know. We laugh more than we cry, which is a great thing, right?
Yes.
But I think I would tell that next generation that surround yourself with people that are smarter than you, because we think at a young age that we know everything. We know nothing. Right. Even at my age, I know nothing. I'm still learning every day. But I just think surrounding yourself with people who can help take you to that next level, and I mean setting you up for success, because I'm really big on that too. Like I want to be able to help that next generation and set them up for success. What is it that I can give them? Is it wisdom? Is it opportunities? What is it? So I think just surrounding yourself with people who can take you to that next level, and just be teachable. Right. Be teachable.
Right.
Be teachable. And I think to add to that, I would say that believe. Whatever the vision, whatever the dream is, believe in it. Oftentimes people will put what they believe aside because they're like, well, I got to go get this job, and well, I got to do this. And they never put in front of them the thing that they believe or that they have a vision for. Most people don't chase their visions. Yeah. Most people don't. 99% of the people are like, and it's partly because we're taught that when you get to a certain point, you're supposed to be able to do this. And if you aren't, then you better go out and get a job, and you better this, and you better that, and you do those things out of necessity. And they don't necessarily mean that you got what it is you had the vision for, the belief to do, the inspiration to do. And I think that, it's important to do that, because even when I look at everything that's going on in our lives now, I feel like I am so blessed that I can pursue. There's a part of me that has found so much joy from being in entertainment world. It's the only thing that I've done since I was 22 years old, and I have stayed in entertainment my entire life. And it has been the thing that predominantly has opened all the doors for me. and I found joy in that world. Even I'm learning to find joy even with the complications and the obstacles. Not that I'm happy that I'm going through obstacles, but I'm finding joy in learning how not to allow those things to detour me. And I think that's the thing that I would tell my younger self, because if I had gotten here quicker, a lot of things that I brooded over and went in the corner and took 2 years to figure out next because I was upset about what happened back then. And you know what I'm saying? I would have moved differently. So I think the answer to the question is, what I would say to my younger self is, it's okay to have failure. It's okay when things don't work out. It doesn't mean that, delay does not mean denial. It doesn't mean just because it hasn't happened yet, doesn't mean it can't and that it won't. It just means it hasn't happened yet. So it doesn't mean you got to abandon everything and you got to, figure it out. What am I going to do now? And, you don't have to go through all that. Just delay does not mean denial. And I think that's the biggest thing that I would tell myself, the younger version of me. Along with what Fran said, you got to surround yourself with really good people. And to me, that means people who are smarter than you. And one of the things that my mentor taught me, he says, if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong fucking room.
Right. 100%. Jay, you have anything to add?
I just have one final question that I think it just goes in line with what everything you just said. For any young woman that wants to get into the world of media, is there one specific problem that they're guaranteed to face in the world of media that they should be prepared for?
Sexualization. That's the first thing.
And it depends on how they want to come in. If you're coming in like Francesca and I, where you want to be independent and you want to build something that you own, then be prepared that, there's going to be obstacles of sexualization, how you're going to finance it, getting your foot in the door, all those things. There's a list of things. So, and once you get over one, you got a new obstacle that you got to jump over. So don't ever expect the obstacles to end. Okay. It really boils down to learning to be comfortable with uncomfortable.
Awesome.
True.
All right, guys. We're gonna close this out with our closing statements. And Francesca, you want to lead us through?
Say again? I didn't hear.
We're gonna do closing statements. Do you have any closing statements?
No, I think we've kind of touched on everything. I just think, go for what it is that whatever dream or vision you have, keep going. Like, don't stop.
100%. Cassandra?
I think for me, closing statement, because it affects women and women will hear this. A very powerful man in the business, an attorney, taught me early on, if I could be anything in the business, I'd be a woman. This is him speaking to me. I'd be a woman. And if I could be anything past that, I'd be a beautiful woman. And he said, men are taught from the time they're toddlers to let Sally go first, open the door for Sally, be nice to Sally, play with Sally. You see what I'm saying? So even though it can be an obstacle being a woman in a man's world, also recognize that it can be a benefit. It can allow you to catapult past all the men if you aren't afraid to use your femininity for your greater good. That doesn't mean you have to with somebody. It doesn't mean you have to compromise your integrity. It means that you have to learn the power of what that is and how to use it.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Jay?
Yeah, well, first I just want to say I am very thankful that you both were here. on a personal level, because I have a 17-year-old that is venturing into new worlds, and I think this is something she needs to hear. And it's always one thing when you hear it, from from the parents, and then it's different when you hear it from someone on the journey, right? So I wholeheartedly am thankful for today. Um,
Thank you.
I also want to say to the men out there, because Francesca, your hotel story really bothered me.
The hotel story.
Yeah, it really bothered, and it,
I know it bothered me too. For a
no,
long time.
I could imagine, and that's the thing is that so to the men out there, please, with everything that you have, be less douchebaggish, because that is not acceptable on any level. As a parent, I would never raise that, and I just hope that as men, that you are as bothered as I am to hear that story.
100%. For me, my closing statement, first and foremost, I'd like to thank both Cassandra and Francesca for taking the time out to sit here, tell their story, and enlighten us of, the good, the bad, and ugly of things that they've faced in their past. And, hopefully the female and, like Jay said, the males understand that the landscape is changing, it's different, but we also have to understand that we have to adapt. And with that being said, you change your behavior. Whatever door you walk into, you have to adapt to whatever the situation is behind that door. So if you go into it with the same said behavior, you're losing out and you're cheating yourself. One thing I do want to highlight is that everybody can attest to: don't quit. Do not quit. If it does not work, you find a different avenue and you continue on.
Absolutely.
Quitting only makes it harder for you. You start questioning yourself, then a whole host of problems start rolling down the hill, and you're just not ready for that. But if you don't quit and you stay the course, it just proves that you are resilient enough and you do belong. So, with all that being said, for all my female listeners, female friends, please, please, we respect you. We love you. Keep pushing. You help out. You make the circle go round. So we respect it. We respect you.
Absolutely.
That wraps up episode 9. Please like, share, subscribe, comment. Listen, we're here. We're going to continue. And now we have 2 more friends to the show. So anything that you want to reach out to them, I'll leave in the comments their respective Facebook or IG accounts or whatever the case may be. Reach out. Now you have people to bounce off ideas with. So with
Absolutely.
And we're happy to do that.
Awesome.
Absolutely.
Awesome.
Jason, I want to talk to your daughter. So put us in touch.
Okay, definitely.
Awesome.
On the beauty world side.
All right, I promise. Yes, definitely.
Yeah.
Now you see how simple that was, people. See how simple that was. All right. With all that being said, I'm not going to hold anybody. Everybody have a great day. Okay.
Thank
That's
you.
episode 9. All right now.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye-bye.